let's talk a little bit about governance, which is essential to, as we talk about all of these things, particularly accessing the markets. I'll come to you, Abhay, because of the fact that you are a founder who's very deeply invested in building your company. We've seen some very unfortunate cases, which perhaps at some point have given the startup ecosystem itself a bad name. Policymakers have commented on it, and we've had a lot of problems there. But first, Abhay, what exactly are the 4 or 5 things in good governance which you hold as tenets as a founder?
So I think, I'm lucky that I have another co-founder who is a chartered accountant, a Banya, and an ex-VC. And I think, so in some sense, I think early on, governance was, I think day one, I still remember 2 things. When we hadn't raised money from Pranav or anybody, when the money was getting debited from our FDs, I remember Vivek saying कि यार कुछ भी बस एक आधा ग्राम नीट भी नहीं बेचा था, बिजनेस प्लान भी नहीं लिखा, ये सर KPMG को रखेंगे. उनका क्या हो गया तेरे को, पैसे नहीं है. KPM कहता नहीं यार कंपनी शुरू करेंगे तो KPMG के साथ करेंगे. And that was the focus.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, on day zero, this company, nobody knows. You're going and paying, KPMG, right? Why? I think the answer is in this, that, look, me and Vivek look at it like this. Licious is our child. Maybe one of us is the mother, one of us is the father. Tomorrow, if my child goes out and, gives a gali in public, I can't say, Pranav, who's the landlord, he did not teach my child. It was not my VC's responsibility to teach my child कि भाई गाली नहीं देते. It is my job. So I think being very clear, I think founders have to own governance as a primary agenda. Founders can't say कि यार CFO देख लेगा. Founders can't जा रहे नहीं मेरे VC ने मुझे पूछा नहीं कि DD में ये 4 चीज़ें क्यों नहीं दी. नहीं ऐसा नहीं होता है. अगर मेरे ब्लड रिपोर्ट में है कि मेरे को कोलेस्ट्रॉल ज़्यादा है तो मुझे आपको बताना है कि मुझे कोलेस्ट्रॉल ज़्यादा है. So I think number one thing is that the founders have to own governance equally, with equal passion as they own the problem statement, the revenue focus, and whatever else. The customer, I think governance is as equal as your customer, right? The second thing is, we, like even today, I think this Mr. Mohandas Pai, and, being with him from early days, this taught us, he used to say that, even when Infosys was listed and, such a big company, Mr. Murthy used to, he didn't have to, wait for me to, send him the MIS before the end of the month. So, the whole system had to work, backwards to ensure कि यार 99.9% accuracy MIS will come, 0.1% we'll live with and we'll publish later. So, building some rituals for yourself, therefore, which will keep you honest and, and not, कि ठीक है यार 10 तारीख को MIS मेरे को आएगा, 15 तारीख को मैं बोर्ड को भेज दूंगा, बोर्ड मीटिंग नहीं करूंगा. So, I think me and Vivek have not missed one board meeting in the last 10 years. No matter what. किसी की शादी हो गई, डेथ हो, कुछ भी नहीं. वो excuse ही नहीं है. Right? So, I think if founders have 3 or 4 clear rituals, the top firms will work with you. Even when there is no fundraise happening, you will do your own diligence. You'll do, stat audit तो करोगे, internal audit भी खुद करोगे. तो अपने सबसे पहले तो खुद से सवाल पूछने हैं यार. किसी और को दिखाने के लिए थोड़ा ना कंपनी बना रहे हैं, अपने लिए बना रहे हैं. So I think having these rituals has really held us in good stead, कि never miss a board meeting. There is no good excuse to miss a board meeting, right? So I think this just, and then everybody sees that, right? When you're not giving that excuse to yourself, how can anybody else say, no, it's nahi. When I can turn around the MIS of this entire company before the, first of, by the way, 15th of the month one MIS gets published, which is a mid-month MIS, and then another MIS gets published by the end. So how can anybody in my company tell me कि नहीं Abhay, this is not ready because इसने ना वो बीमार हो गया था, वो नहीं आया, उसके पास रह गया. So I think this is just role modeling, and I think day one, pick up some fundamentals and every day live them, no matter what. And then that's it. Yeah, then it becomes culture.
Ananth, do you think at some point, because of this mad craze of 2021, and everybody turning unicorn every week, so there was some element of governance lapses and collapses because there was greed which generally took over the market, right? You can't shy away from that. You've been on both sides as a sort of founder now, and before that as an entrepreneur, as an executive of a leading company. Now, what is your sense? Where are we on this right now?
See, I think firstly, I agree completely with what you said, right? For me also, it's a little bit, I have to own it. If I don't own it, nothing else will matter. And I don't think it mattered whether I was a professional CEO or a founder. I think, you want to sleep well at night.
Yes.
And life is short. So,
Yeah.
just sort of do it. I think the thing I would add is, I think, just transparency to the fullest. Because, by the way, crap happens. Things go wrong. I mean, it's just the nature of startups, right? Something or the other, and you make a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? I send a weekly update. If my top of mind priorities, I think to like 50 people in the company, I copy my investors. Like every week, right? And our MIS, again, very similar to you, goes out twice, right? So it just, by the way, at least you don't worry about these things, right? I think so. That's number one. Number two is, from an investor standpoint, I do think sometimes this feeding frenzy happens, right? Which is, we bought a bunch of brands, right, as brand me, and then we scaled, right? Go buy more because you have more money. There's a push, right, saying, what are you doing? And I think as a founder, having a little bit of a maturity to say what I can and cannot absorb and digest, right, is important. And I think that has helped us in good stand. I think many companies started, several of them are gone. The reason for us is, by the way, we didn't go buy when we had money, right? And I think it was an important sort of, so actually internally saying whatever your board says or doesn't say, what I am comfortable with is all that I will do, is the other thing that I think is really needed.